Okay.
So now, we're now going to have reminiscences, and this is in no particular order. And in fact, if you need to leave, or if you want to get yourself put someplace on the list, just come pester me. But I think I'll ask Consuelo Preti to come up first. Is she here? There we are. I think one of the things you'll be struck by is the diversity of people on whom Jerry had
I feel a little, I'm doing karaoke. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jerry was my dissertation supervisor. I think
You're gonna have to hold it closer. Yeah.
that there were not that many people that he supervised directly, so I think I'm still one of the few that he was the direct supervisor of. As it happens, half my dissertation committee is actually here today, so I note that we look no different than how we did 20 years ago. Anyway, said supervision consisted of him staring blankly at me every few months when I would meet with him and explain my work. Occasionally, on a good day, he would give me a puzzled frown. He maintained that he didn't understand it up until the day of the defense, but he cited it in a footnote somewhere afterwards, so unless he was just being nice, and when it came to philosophy, Jerry wasn't nice, ever, really, he must have understood it well enough. But I'm not going to talk about the philosophy part of my relationship to Jerry because that wasn't the one that mattered to me, or to him. My relationship with Jerry was primarily one of what I would call pure affection. I loved him because he never demanded anything from me. He just radiated affection at me. This was mostly silent, because Jerry was one of the few people with whom I could spend hours with in total silence. I remember once we went to ballet together, and we spent, the evening, I think we had dinner and then we went to ballet, and I don't think we said anything the whole time. Except that after one of the ballets on the program, I turned to him and I said, "That one was very pink." And he laughed and said, "Very." And another time at the ballet, I remember we had more to say that night. Another time he told me he was learning Italian, so I said we would speak from then on in Italian, and so I switched to Italian. And he listened politely for a while, and then he said, "You don't sound anything like the lady on the tape." That's in Italian. I always found Jerry very soothing to be around. This is maybe not the first thing to come to everyone's mind when thinking about him. But I always found Jerry very relaxing. I just was always happy to see him, and I always felt that he was very happy to see me. And I think that he knew that I knew what it was like to be like him. And that I just got that. And we were always connected that way, even though we never talked about it or said anything about things like that. But that always meant a lot to me too. We just sort of had this silent understanding, and it just felt very comfortable and very soothing and very, very fond, I think would be the word. I also think all of this was because we liked all the same books. So we always tended to drop quotes at each other without having to explain it and totally out of context, and he would just get it, and I would just get it, and so this was a large part of our interaction. He never ever said anything unnecessary to me, which I thought was completely valuable. He just radiated this unadulterated affection at me whenever I saw him. Even at the last time I saw him, he was still very much himself. He was sort of lying in bed and looking at a poster, and I asked him whether I should get him another poster, and he said, "No, I'll just look at you for a while, though." That kind of thing. That was a little unusual for Jerry, but it was nevertheless sort of characteristic of him. And I think it's very rare. I think it's extremely rare, given that, those of us who knew Jerry well knew that, yes, professionally he would do all kinds of things like, the hand, and he would very much rock back and forth on tiny chairs. And I think I remember one time at an Ethiopian restaurant, he rocked back and forth on a little stool and then fell over. So there was a lot of that. But Jerry was actually, as George said, extremely sensitive. He was very sensitive. He was very shy. He was very depressive. And he got that about me, and I got that about him. And so in this way, we had our own little cloud of love for each other because we understood that. I think it's very rare, and I think it's very unique. I don't think I've ever had a relationship like that with anyone, really. And so in that respect, I feel a great loss. I accidentally, a few years ago, destroyed I deleted all my Gmail account completely. And I had so many emails from Jerry, and all of them were completely characteristic. And when I discovered that I had done this by mistake when I started to look for some to share with you, because I couldn't find any. I did find a couple that were hidden someplace in my school account. So I've got one or two that don't quite give the entire flavor of what they were like. But there was a time when Jerry was ready to get a new cat. So Gray Cat had departed this life, and Jerry was ready to get a new cat. So I think I'd written to him, "Are you getting the cat?" And the title of my email is Encatment. So you're about to be encatted again. He wrote back, "Dear C." So I was always C. "Dear C, no, not nearly. The litter's been born, but they can't be detached from their mom till they're 12 weeks, so sometime at the end of November. Actually, I have my doubts about the whole idea. Gray Cat wasn't just a gray cat, after all." And he signed it W.J. So it was always W.J. W for warmest, which then grew into L for something else, probably. So once he got the cat, so obviously these emails from school were all about the cat thing. I think I said something like, I miss you, how are you doing, how's the cat? Dear Consuelo, Mr. James is sitting here on the desk reading over my shoulder and walking on the keys from time to time, and then he put a bunch of nonsense string. He's getting large, he eats a lot. He is good at 3 things besides eating: sleeping, biting, and filling his cat box. He usually, but not invariably, takes them in turn. Come and see him whenever you are able. Wear chainmail. Me? Because I must have said, how are you? Have you read Martin Amos's book, Night Train? About like that. L this time. J. The emails I was looking for were a long series of emails that I'd written to him. I used to write to him about whatever, and always very brief, and he would always give me some brief thing in return. But I had discovered a number of different ways of using honorifics to write. So I would say, instead of Dear Jerry, it would be something like Sensei, or Excellency, or O King. For some reason I used to like that. The Jerry of which no greater can be conceived. That one didn't go over that well. Greatest of all possible Jerrys, there was that. Teacher, often. And then I found one that was the honorific that you use only when you speak directly to the Emperor of Japan. I.e., you never use it, because you never speak directly to the Emperor of Japan. So I said this to him. I said, "Dear," and then I put a blank, and then I put a footnote. This would be the thing that you use to talk to the Emperor of Japan, except you never do, because it's something. And he wrote back something incredibly fabulous, but of course I don't have that email, so I can't share it with you. But I remember how we used to do this thing back and forth. The very last one that I remember is, I think, a little bit apropos, so I will end with that one. This was about 10 years ago. I wrote to Jerry to say that my dog had died, and how devastated I was by this. And his reply to me was, "Dear C, take heart. The anguish will pass, to be replaced by mere sadness. L, J." And so I feel like some of you will understand this. This is how I feel now. The anguish has passed, and in its place will just be sadness. Thank you.